We're delighted that this house became available for us to purchase because this town is wonderful and it has so much to offer, and the community is so varied and there's so much community spirit. It's just very exciting to be part of a place like this. So my name's Caelan Bristow. I'm an architect, and my husband and I were living in Limerick before we moved here to Cloughjordan, and we looked at a few properties and found this place, and we decided to move and renovate. The house was in fairly poor condition, even though it had been turned into sort of bedsit type apartments. I have my own architecture studio on the ground floor, and then we live on the upper 2 stories. I am originally from Canada, and I moved here to Ireland in 1999 and lived in various places, the Midlands, Dublin and Belfast, and then Limerick. And then we moved here with our young son, who was about 7. He's now a teenager and he's been growing up here. So it's been a wonderful experience for him. I love old buildings, and I love working on old buildings, looking at how you can make them work for a modern comfort and living. You know, it's been a long project. We bought the house in 2017 and we're still renovating, and we're 90% there, we think. But there have been a few setbacks and a few issues along the way. You know, money does tend to be the big issue, especially now that building materials and construction costs have just gone through the roof. The most important thing in doing a renovation of this type is to have patience and to recognize that you sometimes just don't know what you're going to find when you start a project like this. You should always have a good contingency fund, and also it's good to have a knowledge of renovation practices and possibly even some skills. So, you know, I would recommend maybe learning how to do some of the things. I mean, I have done a lot of carpentry, and I did a huge amount of painting in my previous life, so I've done a lot of those aspects here. But my husband also taught himself to plaster, so he did a lot of the plastering. And but this was a huge renovation project. It was a complete gutting of most of the building.
Myself and my wife Karen came here today because we had started a conservation project, a kind of revamp of some sheds. We started 2 years ago. We've got it re-roofed, and now we have kind of large masonry walls and floor slab inside to be done.
We came here to see a building in process, and we've got an old derelict building in Cork that we haven't started yet. So it's really nice to see a building that's been lived in and it's nearly finished.
Probably what I've learned is that I shouldn't be so concerned that you're picking the absolute best answer to the problem, that you're on the knowledge that you have and on the materials that are available to you and on the budget that you have, and there's so many factors that would influence a decision. So it's just about picking that thing and confidently going with it, but realizing that there are so many other ways of doing things, and that you'll talk to them, they've done it this way and that works for them, but then you talk to somebody else and they've done it completely other way. And where things haven't been successful for people is where they have implemented something that wasn't appropriate to the building. And so, they were talking about earlier how they had stripped off all this concrete on the walls, and then they see that the walls are absolutely sopping wet. So if you had a cracked rainwater good or something like that, that all the water is getting in from the outside, soaking the wall, and then it's got no way of drying out to either side because it's completely wrapped in a non-breathable materials. So it wasn't going to be a pleasant place to live in unless that they made this intervention, that they took this off the wall.
Meeting other people who are going on the same journey. So we met one couple who are applying for the derelict building grant that's just come. It's not town centre, it's more rural. So they've already got their grant. So they gave us some really interesting information because we plan to apply for that. And then also one of the big things was the heat pump, and then all the information about the insulation on the roof and the windows. But I think skill sharing is a really big thing because there's so much information out there, and we don't have a listed building, but it's a very old building, and we want to do it in a sustainable and using good conservation techniques. So meeting other people who are trying to use breathable materials is really useful.
It's a really nice project the way they've done this one. I think it's great to see that it'll bring the building into the future. Someone might walk in here and just be like, I don't have the love or patience for this, and just walk away. And like, if too many people do that, or if it doesn't find an owner, then it just becomes worse over time, and it gets to a stage where no one's going to bother to chip off all the cement and spend all this time and money, and the building falls into itself, and then it's gone, and then you're just building something new.
I thoroughly enjoy renovating buildings, and I recommend the experience. You have to be willing to work hard and get a bit tired, and maybe expect it to take a while, but it always is very fulfilling, and we do have a lovely house now.